It was Halloween night, and all the ghosts and goblins and creatures of the night had just awakened. Tonight was their night, the spookiest day of the year, the most anticipated night of the year for all monsters alike. Well, most monsters. For you see, high in a clock tower sat a lonely ghost. Now the lonely ghost wished he could be with all the others, screeching in the moonlight and casting frightening shadows all over the neighborhood. But no matter how hard he tried, no one seemed to find him scary. And so on Halloween, the spookiest day of the year, he would sit in his clock tower and watch the night slip by without him. On this particular Halloween, there happened to be a little witch flying past the clock tower on her broomstick. As she passed by the window the ghost was looking out of, he took a deep breath and let out a boo. "Well, hello to you too," the little witch said with a giggle, as she stopped to talk to the ghost. The lonely ghost let out a sad sigh. Once again he had failed at being scary. "What's the matter?" the witch asked. "It's Halloween night. What are you doing up here all alone?" "I'm waiting for Halloween to pass by, so I can go back to sleep," the ghost said. "I'm not scary enough. Whenever I say boo or let out a shriek, the people don't scream or hide. They just laugh at me." The little witch frowned, her eyes growing sad. "Just because you aren't scary doesn't mean you had to miss out on Halloween," she said. "Come with me. I'll show you what fun the spookiest night of the year can be." With some reluctance, the lonely ghost got on the little witch's broom, and together they floated down just below the housetops, watching the people walk back and forth across the streets, dressed as monsters or heroes or other fantastic beings. "Look," the little witch pointed out. "There's someone dressed up like you." The lonely ghost peered down, and sure enough, racing across the street, bag in hand, was a figure draped in white, with two little holes for eyes. The ghost couldn't help but smile a little, as he and the little witch continued on their flight. They eventually came to rest in a pumpkin patch. Hundreds of orange gourds lay scattered on the ground of every size and shape. "This is perfect," the little witch exclaimed with a smile as she jumped off her broom. "Now what?" the ghost asked. "Now we pick one," the witch giggled, and set off searching for the perfect pumpkin. The lonely ghost floated around the patch, looking around, examining each one closely, until finally both he and the little witch met in the middle of the patch. There sat the largest pumpkin either of them had ever seen. "What do you think of this one?" the little witch asked the lonely ghost. The ghost nodded his head, and together he and the little witch tried to lift it. They lifted with all their might, but the pumpkin was just too big. "It's no use," the ghost said with a sigh. The little witch frowned, looking at the pumpkin up and down. "It is pretty big," she said. "Can't you use your magic to make the pumpkin fly or something?" the ghost asked. But the little witch shook her head. "I might be a witch, but I don't know how to do magic," she admitted. "You don't know how to do magic? Then how do you get your broom to fly?" the ghost asked. "I don't know. I've never really thought about it," the witch responded. The two stood looking at the pumpkin until finally the little witch said, "We should just carve it here." "But then we won't be able to take it with us," the ghost said. "That's all right. Then everyone else can enjoy our spooky jack-o'-lantern," the witch said. With that, she and the ghost set to work carving the top off the pumpkin. Next they removed all the seeds and insides. The ghost let the little witch do that part, since he didn't like the feeling of the slippery, slimy pumpkin guts. When the little witch had removed all the seeds, the ghost carved out a face on the pumpkin. "It's wonderful," the little witch said. "Very spooky." The lonely ghost couldn't help but grin back at the grim, grinning gourd. It really was kind of scary looking. After placing a candle inside their newly created friend, the two hopped on the broom and took off. "Where are we going now?" the ghost asked. "It's Halloween. We're going trick-or-treating, of course," the witch said as they grew closer to the town. "I've never been trick-or-treating," the ghost told her. "Don't worry, I'll be with you the whole time," she assured him. Together the two friends wandered from house to house, collecting sweets and treasures. The lonely ghost began to feel less lonely as he and his new friend laughed and raced through the streets. By the end of the night, the two had their pockets filled and were ready to go home. They took back off into the sky, pleased with what they had collected. Flying back over the pumpkin patch, the ghost could see their jack-o'-lantern glowing brightly. A group of children were nearby and kept taking turns running up to the giant grinning pumpkin and yelling "boo" before laughing and rushing back to their friends. The ghost couldn't help but smile when he saw the children enjoying their creation. The two finally arrived at the clock tower as the moon was beginning to sink in the sky. "Here, this is for you," the little witch said, handing something to the ghost. It was a little pumpkin that fit perfectly in his hand. "That way you can always remember your first proper Halloween," the little witch told him. "Thank you," the ghost whispered with a smile. "Do you feel scarier?" the witch asked the ghost as they sat at the edge of the clock tower, waiting for the sun to rise. "No," the ghost admitted, "but I do feel less lonely."